Okay, my big muscular friend, I saw you the other night on Jimmy Kimmel, kind of making fun of me. Telling the whole world about how you tricked me into doing the worst movie ever made. Nah. Does it bother me? Nah. Is it burnt into my memory like a horrible scar? Nah. Well, maybe just a little bit. So anyway, as you know, I write, which is something you don't. Oh, did I say that? And I've decided to write a sequel called, for you, called Stop or Your Grandmother Will Beat Your Ass. And I will be directing and producing and mocking it all the way through. Anyway, you keep punching, big guy, and good luck with your film.
Remember the Academy Awards, I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards, and this stupid guy goes up, and just before the Best Picture of the Year, the show is almost over. They're waiting for the Best Picture of the Year. He gets up and he says, and his wife said, please don't do it. His manager said, don't do it. I have to do it. He goes out and reads my truth, and it said basically, he is the worst host in the history. He reads the whole thing.
He's confusing me with one of his sons again. Wow, do you think he's flirting with me? What is this? When I die, I would like that to be the clip they play at the Emmys in memoriam montage. He even worked my wife in there. Should I be worried that Trump has mentioned my wife more times at his rallies this year than his own?
When Hollywood turns up the heat, you can bet it'll get interesting. This time, it was Sylvester Stallone's fiery return that had Jimmy Kimmel visibly rattled, and audiences couldn't look away. So, what happened that stirred up so much buzz? It all started when Jimmy Kimmel tried to slip in a joke at Stallone's expense. He mentioned the actor's outspoken take on the evolution of Hollywood, lightly poking fun at his views. But what Kimmel didn't expect was how quickly the Italian stallion would fire back, saying, some people think they're bigger than the industry itself. Guess lifting weights makes you immune to progress. Kimmel's joke wasn't just casual banter, it was a pointed swipe at Stallone, who's been outspoken about his frustration with Hollywood's shift toward political correctness and chasing trends over real storytelling. That subtle jab didn't go unnoticed. Fans immediately lit up social media, calling the comment unnecessary and disrespectful. Reporters of Stallone, known for respecting his blunt honesty and deep loyalty to the craft, felt the joke crossed a line. Critics accused Kimmel of going after Stallone not for what he said, but for daring to question the narrative Hollywood wants to protect. What started as a joke spiraled into a polarizing debate about who gets to speak freely in the entertainment world. But the tension didn't stop there. Behind the scenes, things got even messier. As the buzz around their feud grew louder, reports surfaced that Kimmel had allegedly blocked Stallone from appearing on the show. Leaked production notes hinted at concerns that Stallone might use the spotlight to expand on his criticisms, and Kimmel reportedly didn't want that heat on his stage. One source claimed it wasn't about Stallone's star power, he's a legend. It was about not knowing what he might say on live TV.
Jimmy Kimmel's a loser. I do Jimmy Kimmel. I did him a lot.
Yeah.
And he'd be standing on the sidewalk. Oh, sir, may I bring you in? He'd bring me in. Every time. The whole show is talking bad about Trump.
He called us doofuses when we had you on.
He's a group of doofuses in flat-brimmed hats.
Guess what? We
ask him how many.
What he did.
Ask him. Yeah, you do bigger. Yeah, you do. His show's done.
The leaked memo sparked a wave of backlash, revealing a side of Hollywood that many found troubling. To Stallone's fans, it felt like censorship proof that even a legendary figure could be silenced for speaking his mind. For someone who helped shape modern cinema, being shut out like this didn't sit well. Supporters argued Stallone had earned the right to voice his views, especially after decades of shaping the film industry. On the inside, even Hollywood insiders were divided. Some stood by Kimmel's choice, suggesting it was about keeping the peace. Others warned it was a red flag, proof that the industry was losing its tolerance for different perspectives. What started as a late-night joke had become something much bigger. It wasn't just a disagreement between two stars. It was now a full-blown conflict over free speech, artistic independence, and the unwritten rules of modern celebrity.
When George Washington defended his country, without him, you can imagine what the world would look like. Guess what? We got the second George Washington. Congratulations!
I guess those punches Rocky took to the head were real after all. George Washington was the father of our country. Donald Trump is the father of Eric. Big difference there.
When Stallone finally spoke out, it wasn't just a response, it was a calculated and powerful moment. Instead of firing back with rage, he chose precision. In a series of interviews and podcast appearances, he calmly addressed the situation, offering a perspective that felt honest, reflective, and grounded. Stallone said in one interview, "Hollywood has always been about pushing limits, but now it feels like the limits are shrinking. Artistry is being replaced by what's trending, and if you don't follow the script, you're out." In another conversation, Stallone called out the culture of exclusion, saying, "When did we decide it's okay to silence people just because they think differently? That's not creativity, that's conformity." His message struck a chord with viewers who believe today's Hollywood cares more about conformity than creativity. Without naming names, he made a clear reference to the Kimmel incident. It's funny how people will criticize you for speaking your mind, but they'll avoid giving you a chance to explain yourself. That's not a conversation, that's a monologue. As the feud gained momentum, the internet turned into a battleground, and Stallone's supporters were clearly in control. This wasn't just about defending an actor. It became a movement against what many saw as a deeper hypocrisy within the entertainment world. Fans quickly pointed out the double standard. Kimmel, who often brings on divisive guests for attention, was now mocking someone else's views. The irony didn't go unnoticed. Many argued that Stallone's concerns about Hollywood's shifting focus weren't outrageous, they were honest reflections shared by others too afraid to speak out. Silencing those voices, they said, only weakens the conversation. One viral tweet summed it up perfectly. Jimmy Kimmel can joke about Stallone all he wants, but it's clear who's actually standing up for creativity. Stallone built Hollywood classics. He deserves better than this.
Something was going to happen. This man was going to go through a metamorphosis and change lives, just like President Trump. And I'll just say this, and I mean it. When George Washington defended his country, he had no idea that he was going to change the world. Because without him, you can imagine what the world would look like. Guess what?
Posts defending Stallone gained traction fast, with fans flooding timelines with clips from Rocky and Rambo, reminders of his lasting legacy. Supporters used his greatest moments to show just how much he's shaped film history. Meanwhile, Kimmel's defenders tried to frame the joke as harmless, insisting Stallone's views were simply out of touch. But that defense didn't hold. Stallone's fan base was louder, more passionate, and unwilling to let it slide. The backlash intensified. Viewers began demanding boycotts of Kimmel's show, accusing him of creating a platform that shut out real discussion in favor of safe, one-sided commentary. Behind the scenes, the pressure mounted. As public opinion shifted, reports surfaced that Kimmel's team was in damage control mode. According to insiders, they reached out to Stallone with a rare offer: full creative control over a guest appearance. He could choose every topic, skip anything controversial, and even review the final cut before it aired. But Stallone wasn't moved. In a firm statement released through his team, he declined the invitation, explaining that he wouldn't compromise his values just to smooth things over. In one interview, he said, "I don't need to stage a conversation to get my point across." Stallone also reportedly said, "If we can't have a real dialogue, then what's the point?" Fans quickly rallied behind Stallone's decision, seeing it as a clear sign of his integrity. To them, turning down Kimmel's offer wasn't just bold, it was proof that Stallone wasn't interested in playing games to protect someone else's image. His refusal only strengthened his reputation as a man who values principle over promotion. On the other hand, Kimmel's move seemed to backfire. Critics argued it was a last-ditch effort to ride Stallone's popularity, adding to the growing belief that late-night television now prioritizes appearances over real conversation.
If you get close, I will break your jaw. I mean, I'm just telling you right now. I don't want to hurt you. I like you. You're tall, good looking. But you're now.
Stop.
This is what it said to do.
Stallone's refusal didn't just rattle Kimmel, it sent shockwaves across the entertainment world. The fallout ignited a broader conversation about late-night TV and whether these shows truly welcome diverse viewpoints or simply stick to a predictable script. Kimmel wasn't the only one under fire. Other late-night hosts also began facing tough questions from fans demanding more authenticity and less rehearsed banter. The shift in public opinion was hard to ignore. Audiences were gravitating toward platforms that felt more genuine. Podcasts in particular surged in popularity. Unlike traditional talk shows, podcasts gave guests room to speak freely without worrying about edits or soundbite traps. Stallone's appearances on several podcasts during the height of the controversy became a perfect example. Raw, honest, and deeply engaging. As fans embraced this change, Hollywood insiders began to take notice. Some saw Stallone's clash with Kimmel as a turning point, proof that the demand for real, unfiltered conversations was only growing. For traditional formats, the pressure to evolve was rising and fast. While the drama eventually settled, Stallone didn't just survive it, he came out stronger. At the center of his resurgence was the Family Stallone, a reality show that opened up his private world. Far from the usual action hero image, the series revealed a devoted father, a loving husband, and a grounded mentor. Audiences responded instantly. The show's success proved that Stallone knew how to connect far beyond the big screen. Critics praised its sincerity, calling it a refreshing contrast to the highly polished personas often seen in Hollywood. Whether he was laughing over a family mishap or reflecting on the road he's traveled, Stallone's honesty stood out. Social media amplified the impact. Clips from the show went viral, showcasing moments of humor, wisdom, and humility. Stallone is the real deal, one fan posted under a video that captured his heartfelt advice to his kids. The response was clear. People were hungry for more than just stardom. They wanted substance. One fan commented on a viral post, "Hollywood needs more like him."
They don't even allow these today because they're so dangerous. But that's what they used when I did the film. I still have them because it's a time when people were tougher. Sorry, they were. When we force ourselves into tough situations, that's what the human creature is supposed to do. They're not supposed to have wheels on their suitcases. It's a convenience, no question, but it just makes things easier. Now with AI, you can literally put your brain in a pickle jar and have that machine do it. I cherish these moments. I cherish hard work. Even though I hate it, I know it's like strong medicine. Tastes horrible going down, but it makes you feel better.
This wasn't just a celebrity spat, it was a turning point for Hollywood. While Stallone's public support surged, Kimmel's ratings quietly slipped. Their feud didn't create the problems facing late-night TV, but it definitely put a spotlight on them. At ABC and Disney, frustration grew as Kimmel struggled to connect with a changing audience. Younger viewers in particular were walking away from traditional talk shows and turning to spaces that felt more spontaneous and real. People began comparing Kimmel to other hosts facing the same decline. But unlike those who adapted with a more relaxed, open approach, Kimmel stuck to the same formula: scripted bits and carefully curated guests. The Stallone controversy only magnified that gap. Fans began pointing to big names who now skip the late-night circuit entirely in favor of podcasts, YouTube interviews, and independent platforms. Stars like Matthew McConaughey and Keanu Reeves have found new audiences by ditching pre-written lines and embracing thoughtful, free-flowing conversations. Stallone's clash with Kimmel felt like a final stamp on that growing shift. For Hollywood insiders, the message was impossible to ignore. This wasn't just about one feud, it was about a fundamental change in what viewers want. Things may have calmed down on the surface, but Stallone didn't just hold his ground. He set a new standard. The ripple effects are still being felt. The feud left its mark on both Stallone's and Kimmel's reputations, but more importantly, it pushed the industry to take a hard look at itself. In a world where fans care more about honesty than polish, even the biggest names have to evolve or risk fading out. Stallone's rise wasn't just a comeback. It was a blueprint for staying relevant in a media world driven by authenticity. And Kimmel? His struggles reflect what legacy formats are now up against. An audience that wants more than safe jokes and surface-level interviews. So where do you stand? Are you Team Stallone, cheering on the honesty and boldness? Or do you think Kimmel's style still has a place in today's world? Let me know in the comments.